Hi, Screwing Along with Susan. Hey, I'm back in the wood shop, and this time it's going to be a general woodworking project that I'll be doing. Very simple. My father, way back in the day, made this very simple paper towel holder. It consists of a pretty hefty base to hold it still, a dowel rod, two dowel rods, one to hold the paper towels and one to keep them from flopping all around. And if you need to remove them one-handed, this will stop it and make it easier to tear off. So here's my project. I have this big piece of kind of ugly construction lumber. It's got some cracks here, but there's a nice usable piece up here. It's 1.5 inches thick. And I'm going to be cutting a 8-inch round out of this. And then I bought this pine 1-inch round dowel rod, 48 inches long, from Home Depot for $4.88. This is 2025, so I thought very reasonable. And then I have some smaller dowel rods that I'll be using for the outside. So I've got my 1-inch dowel rod, I have my 3/8 inch dowel rod, and I have my piece of wood. You can draw a circle. It really should be at least 8 inches wide in order to accommodate your paper towel and have a little extra. This is 8¼ inch. If I happen to make some mistakes when I am cutting it, as long as it ends up round at the end, I can always use my sander to make it nice and even. I'm going to be cutting everything at one time. So the paper towels are about 11 inches tall. I'm going to make my dowel rod 12.5 inches because I'm going to round off the end, and 1/2 inch will be going into the base. This small piece on the outside, I am just cutting it at about 9 inches and marking that. Now it's time to go over the chop saw and cut these to where I need them to be. This little 3/8 inch dowel rod, I am just cutting on my scroll saw. Now, of course, you could cut this on a bandsaw if you have it, or with a jigsaw. This is a scroll saw channel, so I'm trying to show you that you can use the scroll saw to cut out this. I mean, it is 1.5 inches thick. I have on hand some Olsen Crown Tooth number 9 scroll saw blades. So that is what I'm using. I like to drill a pilot hole through the piece to try to keep it intact all the way to the end instead of coming in from the side. Yeah, I think this number 9 blade will be just fine. If you were in a hurry, I would probably use, like I said, another tool, but this will be fine. So I'm coming close to being right on the line, but I'm cutting it a little short so that I have room to use my sander to make it a nice round circle. Well, I have to admit, that's not too bad. Then I'll be taking it over and sanding it and making it as much of a round circle as possible. And I timed myself. This took about 12.5 minutes to cut out. I use a Central Machinery disc sander. I want to make sure the table is a 90-degree angle with my disc so that I'm having a nice 90-degree angle all the way around my piece here. If you do not have one of these, you can always use a hand sander and attach it to a table. As long as you've got your 90-degree angle, you can use that. Should have found the center before cutting it into a round, but no matter. I have an 8.5 square piece of paper. I'm going to line that up very evenly and then fold it so I can find the center. This is a 1-inch dowel rod, and I have used these so many times. It is well worth purchasing these Forstner bits. I have a 1-inch Forstner bit that's going to drill my hole for my dowel rod. Now you can use a handheld drill, but I tell you, it is a lot easier to work with a drill press. Now I have to adjust it to the height that I want. Most of the time I do not require clamping my piece down, but I'll tell you, with a 1-inch Forstner bit and going this deep, I learned the hard way that I really need to clamp down my piece because holding it alone will not keep it still. Expected it to be a little bit tighter fit than this. There's quite a bit of give, so I am going to have to countersink a screw on this other side to secure it with a screw and glue. Luckily, this one fits nice and snug, so glue alone will be fine to hold this. I have this Win handheld oscillating sander that I have flipped upside down and secured it to my workbench so that I can smooth over the top edge of my dowel rod. I'm just finishing with a little hand sanding to make sure it's very smooth. I've also rounded over the small little dowel rod here. Now the only thing I have left is the edge of the circle. You can use a router with a round over bit if you have one. I'm just going to gently curve the edges so there's nothing that's, sharp and blunt. So I'm just going to use a handheld sander. Not too bad for a piece of construction lumber and a couple dowel rods. Everything's smooth and wiped clean. The only thing is, this isn't the prettiest wood, so I think I'm going to paint it. I have decided on this Rust-Oleum Ultra Cover Premium Latex paint. It's black, and in case I don't like the way it looks, I'm going to do the bottom first. Now, I'm going to be gifting this to a man, so I think he'll really like the black. I have marked the bottom of the dowel rods, in which I do not want to pass and paint so it fits properly. Some things to keep in mind if you paint or use stain is how it's going to be used. If it's going to be around water or food, you want to use something that can be wiped clean easily. And 2 coats of this was plenty for me, and I think it looks pretty nice. I have put in my big dowel rod. You can glue it in and let it dry. I am going to go ahead and drill my pilot hole and my screw and hold on to it so it doesn't come out. A little bit of glue in the hole. I didn't show the glue on the big dowel rod, but it's already there before I put the screws in. Attach this. I'll let it dry. I am just quickly adding some stick-on felt feet to the bottom to protect the table it will be sitting on. So this was a fun, easy little project. Might be kind of nice to give as a gift. I think that is quite functional. Here, I'm going to show you what this little thing is for. Helps you rip it right off. So I hope you enjoyed this project, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.